thank you for coming. We have prepared what I hope is a really informative and interesting session for you, where you're going to learn about our classes, our programs, our co-curriculars, our resources, our faculty, career paths, and much more. We brought a number of our students, they're sitting there, because we found historically that our students are very often better able to tell our story than we can. Before we get started, I just want to mention that this is only a 45-minute presentation, so that we know we're not going to be able to answer all your questions at this session. So what we've done is we've prepared some folders, which I see in a lot of your hands. The folders have a lot more detailed information, so there should be a flyer for every single major in there. There's an overview of a lot of the programs. There's the Boler Professional Development Program. If you didn't get a folder, please be sure to grab one as you walk out. But in addition to that, we've arranged for a lot of the faculty to be here to talk to you. So between 2 and 4 p.m., over in the Dolan Science Center, we've got a meet and greet with a lot of the faculty. We'll all be there, so that's really a great opportunity to ask more detailed questions. Is it working? Hello?
Thank you.
So in any event, and I'll remind you of that before we end, but the meet and greet with faculty is really a good opportunity if you have any more detailed questions about any of the majors or the programs or anything else.
There's a session at noon if people don't want to stand.
Oh, and there's also, we're repeating this at noon, if anyone, for whatever reason, wants to see a different presentation right now. So to kick this off, I'm going to hand it over to Mrs. Laura Atkins. Laura is the Assistant Dean for the undergraduate business programs.
Thank you. Welcome. Glad we got our speakers working so that everyone can hear us. Thank you for joining us this morning. We really appreciate seeing all the smiling faces. And if you want more copies of the materials in the folders, they will also be over at the reading room, just so you know. We're trying to keep it to just the students right now, but from 2 to 4, knock yourself out, take as many as you'd like. In an earlier presentation, you heard a little bit about our integrative core, or our I-core, or our university core. We sort of use all those names interchangeably, so don't be confused. But like any university, it's a series of courses that are a foundation for all the John Carroll students. And our Boler students are no different, and we really view this as a vital part of the Boler education and the Boler experience. As you know, Jesuits are very strong in the liberal arts, what we call our liberal arts horsepower here. They are 450 years or more of educating people, and that is what they do. That's their business, if you will. And so we have the skills that the core is designed to develop are all those talents that employers are looking for when they hire professionals. So it really makes our Boler students very strong, and why our graduates are able to not only start careers at a high level, but move up faster in their careers than graduates from other institutions. The Boler core works in a similar manner, using sort of that same I-core philosophy that you need to be well-rounded and you need to know a little bit about all disciplines of business. So this is sort of some of the highlights, I guess I would say, of our business core. And these are some of the courses you start out in freshman and sophomore year taking. Many students come in undecided in business, so this starts to give them a nice flavor for the different areas so that they can pick their major later on, or confirm their major, change their major. All of that happens in the first 2 years pretty regularly. But what we really want is that philosophy of multidisciplined approach to really infuse the business core as well, so that our finance majors understand human resources, so that when they're leading a department, they know how to manage people. And that our marketing students understand accounting and finance, so that when they're leading a product line or a department, that they understand how to make sound financial and budget decisions. So what we like to say is that's the best of both worlds. The strong liberal arts coupled with a superior business education.
Thanks, Laura. So to continue and talk about the curriculum for Boler students. So in addition, any Boler student that matriculates through here, you not only have to complete the Boler core curriculum and the university core curriculum, you pick a major. We have 7 majors, and they're up on the screen. In addition to those majors, Boler also offers 2 minors, an economics minor and a business minor, although the business minor is really designed for arts and science students that want to get a flavor of some of the business classes. Then there's also 2 interdisciplinary minors, both very popular, leadership and our nationally ranked entrepreneurship minor. And then on top of that, I know this is a lot of detail, on top of that, there's well over 30 minors offered by the College of Arts and Sciences. And in terms of the paths that Boler students take, there's a huge variety. I mean, I'm an economics professor. I'm also one of the associate deans of the business school. I've advised students for, I'm afraid to say it, but 30 years. And when I think about all my students that I've advised, or all the students that have been in my classes, they do everything. A lot of them just do one of the Boler majors. A lot of them do a double major in Boler, and the most common double majors are economics and finance, supply chain management and marketing, and finance and accounting. But I've also had, particularly because I advise the economics students, I've also had students who have a major in Boler and a major in arts and sciences. So some of those have been economics and political science, economics and history. There's a number of them. But then I've also had students who have a major in Boler and a minor, student with a major in Boler and 2 minors. I've even had students who have done a major in Boler and 3 minors, which is a little bit tricky, but it can be done with some planning. And the nice thing is this: if you're undecided, and I suspect a lot of you might be, and I know I was when I went to college, I had no idea what I wanted to major in. And my first true love, you'll all groan when you hear this, but my first true love was philosophy. And I ended up being a double major in economics and philosophy. But if you're undecided, there's really no cause for concern, because the way our curriculum is designed, it's very flexible, and you have time to explore what you're interested in, where your skills are best suited, what really excites you, particularly over the first 2 years. The other good thing is that you have help every step of the way here. So when you come in the summer for summer orientation to pick classes, we assign you a business advisor. Everyone in our office advises, the faculty advise. Then on top of that, we have a new freshman advisor, Mrs. Lori Schneck, who's right here. I asked her to wait. She'll be around all day if you have questions. And then on top of that, we have faculty mentors for the freshman and the sophomore, and as soon as you choose a major, there's a major advisor. But beyond that, I'd have to say that the nice thing about John Carroll with our small class sizes, when I think about my economics classes, I have rarely had more than 35 in them. And I know every student, for better or for worse, I know every student in there. But the nice thing is, because John Carroll is small, students can develop really close relationships with the faculty. And I can't tell you how many times a student literally just out of the blue pops in my office, one did last week, that I was in my class in the fall, and just asked about advice about what classes to take, or what career, or what major, or things like that. So it's really, really nice to know that there's always a resource available and someone to guide you at every single step.
Okay, thank you. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about one of my favorite student enrichment programs, which is study abroad. At John Carroll, we have study abroad programs that are 1 to 2 weeks as part of another course. We have study abroad programs that are full semester. And we have study abroad programs that are shorter term, 6-week programs in the summer. So while I'm very partial to the full semester, because I think that really allows a student to grow, mature, and also piques the interest of employers, we have basically something for everyone. So no matter what your personality, if you're a little bit of a homebody, I'd still encourage you to do the 1 to 2 week programs, but most students I would like to see doing the full semester. And while I have listed there some of our formal programs that we have exchange relationships with, students can really go anywhere they want. Now, the nice thing about the exchange is that they're very cost effective, and B, students can get to know people from that university while they're studying here before they go, and then also have a relationship with the next group when they get back. So it's a very nice way that people have hosts, if you will, once they arrive, and we host them. So it's a very nice back and forth. But alternatively, a student can really go wherever they want. We had a student last year as a freshman who was determined to go to Thailand. We don't have any formal programs there. So she worked pretty doggedly with the Center for Global Education in my office. And she is in Thailand now with another classmate from Carroll. And she is able to find courses at an AECSB institution that we are part of a big consortium with. And she was in the city and the part of the country of Thailand that she wanted. And she's staying on track with all her courses. So she's having the time of her life. I've seen pictures. She's emailed a couple times. You've heard from her, Bailey, it sounds like. Which is a perfect lead-in because our first speaker, student speaker, is Bailey Baringer, who's a senior here, marketing major, who's going to hopefully tell us a little bit about her time as a Beijing local last spring.
Thanks so much, Ms. Atkins. Hi, everybody. My name is Bailey Baringer. I have to apologize for my appearance. I am a tour guide on staff, so hopefully I see some familiar faces from families maybe that I gave a tour to. I am a senior marketing major with a minor in East Asian Studies here. And we graduate in about 60 days, so it's really exciting.
The countdown.
So something that I'm very passionate about, and one of the reasons I actually came to Carroll was because of its amazing study abroad program. I had the opportunity to travel to 6 countries in Europe the summer between my sophomore and junior year of high school, and I absolutely fell in love. I started speaking Mandarin in 8th grade. I continued speaking Mandarin all 4 years of high school, and then I was placed in Mandarin 301 and 302 my freshman year at Carroll. And then I continued at 310 my sophomore year. So China was a place that I knew I wanted to go. And part of the reason that Carroll was such an important school and choice for me was because of the ability to do so. So I studied at a Loyola University campus called the Beijing Center at Beijing Shui, or the University of International Business and Economics in the Chaoyang district. And it was absolutely amazing. I landed January 14th, and I came home the end of May back to Detroit. I don't know if we have any Michiganders in here. But it was an absolutely wonderful experience for me. I completed almost my entire minor abroad in addition to fulfilling 2 other business core requirements for myself. So I was completely on track. I did not fall behind. I was actually ahead by the time that I went abroad, so I was able to kind of take a little bit more of a relaxed approach. But something that I also had a really great experience with was not only studying abroad, but I also had an opportunity to intern abroad, which I'll talk a little bit about later with Brandi talking about my internship experience. One of the most common Boler programs that I will talk about, and Ms. Atkins is very knowledgeable about, is the Boler program in London. A lot of our students tend to go spring of their sophomore year. I went to Beijing spring of my junior year, so last year. It's something that I love to talk about, and it's not something that I can wrap up in about 3 minutes. So I'll be I'll be in the panel from 2 to 4 p.m. Answering any questions that you guys might have. Just a little quick information. I applied to 8 different schools, so I completely understand the process of deliberating between schools. And Carroll's become my home, and my fellow student speakers here, I can probably say for them that it's become their home also. So we're very passionate. We're so excited to have you here today. So thanks so much, you guys.
Quite a whirlwind. One of the other hallmarks of that program, though, is 2 weeks of travel within China that's included in the cost of the program. So no expense for those 2 weeks of going around to different areas. I think it depends on whether you go fall, spring, where you go, but lots of chaperoned and all that trips for that. So that's a great program. My other favorite student enrichment program is service, and it is definitely a hallmark of a Carroll education, there's no question. We have a lot of resources on campus to support service. One of my common ones I work with is the Center for Service and Social Action, or CSSA as we often kind of refer to it. And they are an office on campus, fully staffed, to support students, faculty, staff who want to either participate in service or organize service for their groups, for their students. They help we have some courses that have service learning as part of it. All the Greek life do service as part of their mission. But also, even in the Boler School, we have a Boler Community Day, which is a day of service that they help our student leaders organize as well. So I wanted to bring up one of our students who excels at service, and that is another senior, Dan Clifford, who is a finance major, to talk about his experience as president of Seeds of Hope, the immersion trip, Boler Community Day maybe, it's pretty self-explanatory, but also how service helped him personally, but also professionally, which was maybe a little unexpected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for that.
Yeah.
30 seconds. So my name's Dan Clifford. I'm a finance major, and I also have 2 minors in Spanish and entrepreneurship. So I'm going to start my freshman year. I came here. I went to the fair that has activities you can sign up for, and I wanted to get really involved here. That was my first objective, and I saw this group called Seeds of Hope, which we help out 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders who live in the inner city and go to school in the inner city, and we basically mentor them. And it's, every Friday we go and we do activities with them, and you can really watch them grow. And as a freshman, I thought this was really powerful, and it kind of led me down this track of getting more involved in service. And I wanted to incorporate this more into my major of finance. So I got involved with the Boler Community Days, which is every year we go out, a lot of Boler students come out and we do service around the area. And it's a really good team building, relationship building, and you get to learn about the whole community, and it's just a great, great opportunity to get involved with service. And then after that, I kind of fell in love with this aspect of John Carroll, that you have this opportunity to do what you like and also incorporate it with your major. So I went on an immersion trip to Nicaragua, where I was there for 10 days learning about economics and the political stance of Nicaragua, the history, and got to live with the people. And it was just so powerful, and you really kind of learn this empathy for people and the interconnectedness we all have together. And that kind of leads me into my job after school. I got a full-time offer with the Cleveland Clinic, where I'll be doing a finance fellowship rotational program, which will kind of relate both the service aspect of helping people, helping others, while also using my skills in finance as well. So that's kind of my story, and thank you guys for being here, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, Dan. So our next slide is about one of our relatively new programs that I love to talk about. So this is our Boler Professional Development Program. It's currently in its 4th year. The motivation for this program came from our observation that there was a huge gap between employer expectations and student performance. And so we designed this program basically to last, it starts spring semester of freshman year and it concludes spring semester of your senior year. It's required. So every single Boler student has to basically complete the entire program in order to graduate with a Boler degree. Upon completion of the program, you get a certificate of professional development, which you can put on your resume. What the students have to do is basically take a series of workshops, and some of the activities are listed on the slides, but certainly not all. And the nice thing for parents, and I have 4 children, so I can appreciate this, the program's free. So basically, this is a way, our goal is to graduate students who are not just competent academically. We want to produce great accountants, great financial economists, great marketers, but we also want to produce students who speak well, who write well, who are polished and professional. And that's the objective of this program. And we have a student who's a senior in finance who has a great professional development story. Unfortunately, he couldn't join us. He's also a baseball player. So we have a short video of him for you. His name's Mike Roshilla.
Okay. It's turning. There we go. Just had to think about it.
Good afternoon. Hope everyone's having a good day at your experience here at John Carroll. And I would like to talk a little bit more on the Boler Professional Development Series. I'm sure you've heard a little bit about it, but I kind of want to share my experience just because of how much it helped me obtain my internship. So this summer, I'm fortunate enough to go to New York City and work on Wall Street with a good firm, and I pretty much give all credit to Ms. Halloran and the Boler Professional Development Series. I made a couple contacts here through the business school, but we'll get to that in a little bit. And so I got a phone interview with them. And I went straight to her and I was like, Ms. Halloran, look, I got a phone interview. This is something that I've wanted since my freshman year, and I think it'd be a great opportunity for me, and I need your help. So, I mean, without batting an eye, she said, great, we'll start going twice a week. We'll meet twice a week, and not including the classes that are mandatory through the Professional Development Series. And that's what we did. We met twice a week, and every day I went in there, it was just nitpick after nitpick. If I wasn't looking her in the eye, she would tell me. If I was fidgeting my hand, she would tell me. If I was using about just different slang words, she would tell me. So when I got down to the actual interview and the phone interview, it was talking to someone normal. I didn't have to put a different face on. I didn't have to change my tone of voice. It was just talking. And although like my behavioral skills were where they needed to be, I think what I lacked was my technical knowledge, like the questions and all that other stuff, because banking is highly technical. So I went in there, I was like, look, I feel really good on my behavioral side, can we work on the technical side? Although she doesn't know too much about banking, sorry Ms. Halloran, she really helped me prepare on how to answer the questions. So being confident, being just quick and knowing what I'm talking about and being able to present that to professionals that essentially do that every day. So when that question came up about how to run a discounted cash flow or what does a PE multiple mean, I knew how to answer that, and I knew how to answer it confidently and professionally to all the different professionals in the room where I didn't sound arrogant, and also I knew exactly what I was talking about. So after the interview, a couple of days go by, and I get a call, and I accepted the offer. And I went up to her, thanked her, and said, look, this is 100% all to you. I give all the credit to you. And she said, no, this is what you did. This is something I helped push you. And through the Boler Professional Development Series, we did this together. So that's my personal little testimonial to the Professional Development Series.
Oh, and I need to give you an update on Mike. So that was recorded last year, and the internship was the summer after his junior year. Very prestigious Wall Street investment banking firm. Not only did he do well in the internship, he received a full-time offer, and he'll be starting there this summer. So it's really good. And I will say this as well. Since Mike's a senior and Dan's a senior and Bailey's a senior, this is basically the first class that's gone through Boler that's completed the entire program. And the director of the program, Michelle Halloran, had asked me if I wanted to see all the senior resumes last fall. I'm telling you, they blew me away. They were so professional. There was not a bad one in the bunch. It was really, really nice to see that. So to continue talking about professional development and careers, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Brandi Mandzak. Brandi is our internship coordinator.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Carroll University. I have the honor of working for the Boler School of Business, as Dr. Calkins said, coordinating the internship program and then also managing the employer relations and employer outreach for the school. So before I tell you a little bit more about what that means and what my role looks like here at the university, I have a little quiz for you. So you're here at university, we want to make sure you're awake and you're engaged and able to answer some questions for us. So, and moms and dads, these are not questions for you, I want to hear from the students. So, of the students in the group, I would like to know the top 3 skills that employers are seeking right now in new hires, so for our new graduates. What do you think one of those is?
Communication skills.
Absolutely, communication skills. That is one of the top 3. Need another one.
Leadership.
Leadership is huge, but that's not the one I'm looking for, but it does go along with it. Anyone guess what that might be? Anyone? Yes. Tenacity is another important one, but also not what I'm looking for. Maybe a couple of you could talk together and come up with an answer. Maybe you'll know where I'm going. Good with technology is important, but I'm just gonna answer it for you. So, did you have one?
Personal relations.
Personal relations, being able to work together in a team. So that is huge, being teamwork, being able to collaborate. Does anyone know what the number one thing that employers are saying to me when I'm going onto their sites, trying to promote our students to them? What are they looking for? The top thing? Anyone? No guesses? Back there? I'm sorry? Grades. Grades is really important, but it's actually not what they're looking for. They're looking for all the things. You guys are great. Like, you would have totally gotten an A. If I was teaching a class right now. So, last one.
Maybe a drive.
Drive is huge. But the number one thing employers are looking for right now is experience. So, I want you to think about that. You're a high school student, you're graduating right now. You're about to start college. From this point on, I want you to be very intentional in making sure that every summer that you spend in between your academic year is viewed as an extension of your journey. It's viewed as an extension of your career path. I see some of the students shaking their heads here. These are successful people. So they have job offers. They have wonderful things happening to them. There's a reason for that, because they did that. So you should really be thinking, how can I weave something meaningful into this summer, going into my freshman year? And as a sophomore, going into my junior year, what can I do? And it's not just internships. So I really want you to think about, how can you do something experiential, even this summer, whether it be an informational interview, a job shadow. Are you able to do some networking and find out about other people's journeys to help inform your own career journey? Is there a way that you can volunteer? You might be trying to earn money, I understand that, you're coming into your college your first year, and I'm not saying don't do that, we all needed to do that, I did that. But definitely try to do something that's related, that's going to help propel you to make the most of your experience here. And it'll even help inform you. So think about the best way to figure out what you want to do is to figure out what you don't want to do, right? So how do we do that? Experience, right? Okay. So to that point, I do have the privilege and honor of working with these wonderful people and these amazing students here in the Boler School to be a conduit between the university and our employers. So as you'll see on the next slide, these are some of the employers with whom we have a strong relationship with. All of these employers recruit our students here on campus. It's a selected list. We'll probably have to show you about 20 slides of employers right now. These are some of the top ones. Right now, these employers have hired our students as interns. Our students are doing project work for them, and our students are engaged in full-time employment with them, or will be starting soon. To tell you a little bit about some of the numbers on our next slide, of our majors, so of all the majors that you saw on our first slide and that Dr. Calkins and Mrs. Atkins have been talking about, 4 of those do require an internship. Even if your program does not require an internship, I behoove you to do an internship and not just one. Most of our students are engaged in more than one internship, or again, some sort of experiential learning to supplement or enhance what you're doing in your academic program, to gain that meaningful experience, to help make you more marketable at the time of graduation. This year I worked with 91 students who registered their experiences with my office. So that means that the experiences were meaningful, they were university sanctioned, they had to establish professional learning objectives, they worked in collaboration with their employer to make sure that there was a lot of intention behind the work that they were doing, that there was mentorship, that there was training. The definition of an internship is that the student gets more from the experience than the employer. So you know, if it's a university sanctioned experience, that your student is not a glorified tasker, they are not getting coffee. They might be doing some filing, because folks, we all do it, right, parents out there? I still get my own coffee and I'm still filing, but after doing this 14 years. However, keep in mind, we make sure that it's a quality experience. So a huge part of my role is being an advocate for the student. I want to make sure that what they're doing is really meaningful for them and that they're gaining the relevant experience they need. So this year we were really proud. Again, our students were out there, they were engaged in wonderful internships over the summer, and many of them, so a third of our senior class had a job before they even came back to campus this year, which we're very proud of. So 85% of the class of 2016, so last year's class, they either had a full-time employment related to their degree, or they were going to graduate school. So this is a high number. I don't know about other schools that you've looked at, but we're very proud of this. And then 88% of the graduating class reported doing an internship. And again, that's just those who reported it. So we know that a lot of our students are involved in a lot of wonderful things. And to transfer back to Bailey, who is another one of our wonderful students, doing wonderful things. Bailey's going to talk to you a little bit more about the experience that she had. And then please feel free to reach out to me. I'll also be available this afternoon from 2 to 4. And I'm happy to talk with you, answer any questions that you might have, and certainly help give you some insight into some things that you could be doing this summer. So thank you so much.
Alright, sorry, you have to hear me talk again. So like I said earlier, I've had 3 internships, and 2 of which I want to highlight that really kind of touch on Dr. Calkins, Brandi, and Mrs. Atkins' experiences. I've had 2 nonprofit experience internships. So my sophomore year, in the fall semester, I had an opportunity to be the marketing and events intern at Engage Cleveland, which is a nonprofit organization that focuses on engaging, retaining, and attracting young professionals to the Cleveland area. And being from the greater Detroit area, I was kind of able to really align myself with the values of Engage Cleveland, because I feel like Cleveland and Detroit over the past couple of years kind of have this negative rap to it, right? But both cities, I will always be a loyal Detroit fan, and now Cleveland fan, are on the up and up. And so working with Engage, it was my first internship experience, and being 19 years old and having the opportunity to work with a nonprofit, I was working with the president now, so it was really just myself and Ashley. And it was a great experience where I learned, I was doing daily administrative tasks, answering phones, emails. It was just myself and Ashley, and then we hired a diversity intern a couple months into my internship, but that was really it. I was writing a monthly newsletter, I was emailing thousands of people, and Engage Cleveland has an event called CleYP Week, which is a young professionals event for an entire week where we have 3 events a day. And that was kind of my first kind of jump into the water of what experience was like in college. I then went back home for the summer, back to Detroit, and I worked a retail job and nannied. And then I came back to John Carroll my junior year. And like I said, in Beijing, I had the opportunity to intern, and I worked with China Crop Protection Industry Association, CCPIE for short. And I am by no means a chemist. I know nothing about agrochemicals or pesticide use. I'm a business major, and I really just try to stay away from that stuff. But it was a great opportunity, right? So I was working in an office of about 7 to 10 people, Mandarin obviously being their primary language. I'm conversational Mandarin. I do not know how to hold a business conversation in Mandarin. But there I was really charged with data entry, data management. I grew their social media network by 150%. I was creating promotions and materials for them to use at agrochem exhibitions in Myanmar, Laos, Russia, Canada, Australia. So that was a really wonderful opportunity for me. And then while I was abroad, I had the opportunity and joy of finding an internship to come when I landed back in the States. And through Brandi's help and Michelle Hanneran's help, I was able to work with DwellWorks, which is a B2B provider of relocation services in the Playhouse Square area. And I was a marketing intern there. So I landed in May, had 1 week at home, and then started work full time. And I not only continued that internship through the summer, I continued it into the fall of my senior year as well. And it was a really wonderful experience. And I really, students cannot tell you how much this wonderful woman means to us and me. Both Brandi and Michelle Hanneran really are rooting for you guys. They will help you find a job. I had the opportunity this past semester to interview with 6 different companies at one time. Last week I accepted a full-time offer with Tektronix Industries, so I'm very excited. And just all the experiences kind of continue to grow just on each other. And my experiences that I started off my sophomore year, I learned from, and then junior year when I was abroad, okay, how do I take what I learned last year and really grow on that? And then this past year at DwellWorks. So again, if you have any questions, I'll be available in the 2 to 4 session, but really do utilize the services that are offered here at Boler because they're above anything else, so thank you.
Thank you again, Bailey. Good information all around. I wanted to just recap a little bit here, what we call the JCU or the Boler difference. And you've heard about the small class sizes, and of course many schools have smaller class sizes. But I want to translate a little bit, in addition to what Dr. Calkins already talked about, what that means to you as a student here. So what that means is when you're in a class of maybe 25 or 30 as opposed to 450, like another mother and I were talking about our experience in undergrad, you really get to know that faculty member and they get to know you. And they're here because they want to know students. They want to know undergraduate students. They have the same research requirements, our faculty, as Ohio State and all the other big schools, but they choose to be here so they can actually teach and mentor undergraduate students and not graduate students. So it is a passion of theirs. And it's this dedication and commitment that has really allowed our students to get wonderful experience in research and presentations at conferences and things like that. Just yesterday, I learned of one of our seniors whose research project that he was working on, he's a senior research project in economics, working with Dr. Lim, was just accepted the Bowling Green undergraduate paper contest and conference. So on April 8th, he'll go to Bowling Green and present his findings. And not only will he have the opportunity to win cash prizes, which is always nice, but he also has an undergraduate research record, which is phenomenal, especially if he wants to go to graduate school. But frankly, even if he doesn't, that looks pretty impressive on any resume and is really helping him grow again as a person. We also have, the best location in that we have this beautiful, idyllic campus, but as Mrs. Mandzak talked, we have employers, we have alumni, all within an easy reach. Additionally, all of our students, our majors have competitions and trips that they take, which is also enriching. So, for instance, our Finance Association goes to New York or Chicago every year to visit the Board of Trades or the Stock Exchange. There's an alumni reception as well to allow them to practice their networking skills and hopefully get some connections for internships and jobs. But it has really allowed them to compete on a high level. This year, you may have seen on the rotating slides at the beginning, in addition to some of our fine interns, we had a slide on our competition, the DDR sponsored for the National Real Estate Finance Competition. And our JCU team took first place. And many of the other schools there, you may know a little better by name, Ohio State, Colgate, Case Western, all competed. John Carroll came out on top. So we're very proud of that, but most of our majors have some sort of competition like that that they take part in every year. You heard a little bit with Dan talking about the service, but we'll leave you with two students here at sort of opposite ends of the spectrum. As we often say, our students tell our story better than we can. So we hope you enjoy hearing from them. But first up is Cory Beam, who's a freshman. And he's going to tell you a little bit about his selection process and his experience so far here at John Carroll. Cory.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Atkins. Thank you all for being here. It's a real pleasure to speak at this event because I was here last year. And after these presentations and the meet and greet with the faculty that's going to take place in the Dolan Reading Room, is that correct? Okay, so across campus at the Dolan Reading Room. I put my deposit down to come to John Carroll. Now, let me get some audience participation here from the students, all right? How many of you actually know what you want to major in, what you want to do when you graduate from college? How many of you really know what you want to do? No one. That's the appropriate answer. All right? That's the appropriate answer. And so what's great about John Carroll, what I was really looking for in a school was a place where that was okay, that was accepted, and they had the resources and the people that were going to allow me to get to that point, to understand, okay, what do I really want to do with myself upon graduation? You've heard about some of our awesome resources that we have here. They're student-focused. I remember going to bigger schools and even smaller schools. It was a lot of, well, here's what our business school does well. Here's how we're ranked across the state in accountancy and finance. And we have all of those illustrious ratings here. But you'll notice that a good chunk of our presentation today is about services for students and what faculty and staff are doing for students. And that is the benefit of coming to a small school like John Carroll, but such a reputable business school like the Boler School of Business. It's really a great opportunity for students to have the best of both worlds. That professional development that we talked about, that is invaluable to employers. I'm a freshman. This summer I have a paid full-time internship with a professional baseball team. Okay, so the opportunities here are endless. You're going to be able to do a lot of cool stuff here, stuff that you would have never even imagined you'd be able to do. And right now you have not a clue what you want to do, and that's okay. I'm in the Boler School. I'm in those, the Boler Core, the University Core. I'm still trying to figure out what it is exactly that I want to do. And that's all right. And so, I'm going to challenge you, as Brandi talked about earlier, this summer, do something that is really going to help you along the way. If you're working at McDonald's, there's nothing wrong with working at McDonald's. Be really good at that. But talk to your manager at McDonald's. See, hey, could I maybe shadow somebody above you, higher up in the company for a day? That's being intentional with what you want to do with yourself. that's getting that experience at such a younger age that's going to set you apart from students here at John Carroll, but especially students that are going to other schools, because everything now is pretty competitive. So we offer that Boler experience. It's going to allow you to get the skills, the tools, the knowledge you need to be successful when you graduate, when you finally figure out what it is you want to do. So my name's Cory Beam. I'll be at the meet and greet in the Dolan Reading Room. Feel free to approach me. I can answer a lot of questions. If you have questions about study abroad, you have questions about what it's like to be a freshman college student, hopefully I can help you out with that. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Cory. Actually, I met Cory when he was in high school and he came to look at John Carroll, so I've known him for a while. Our last student, we figured, when I think about the things that make John Carroll distinctive, one of the things, and I won't take up too much time, but one of the things is our alumni base, because honestly, John Carroll alums are among the most passionate and helpful people I've ever met. A lot of the faculty at John Carroll that have come from other schools just rave about John Carroll alums. It wouldn't surprise me if there's a number of John Carroll alums in the audience today. But we thought it would be interesting, you heard from one of our newest and youngest students, but we thought it would also be interesting if you heard from a recently graduated alum. So I'd like to introduce Rob Cameron, who graduated last May. He was an accounting.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Anything else?
Accounting and a minor in East Asian Studies.
Oh, minor in East Asian Studies. And he's working full-time now. So
Yes, absolutely. Hey, it's nice to meet all you. My name is Rob Cameron. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. I'm glad you could all be here. Now, what I'm going to talk about, and like the hidden word in the John Carroll difference, is something I loathed hearing about as someone in high school, and that's the word culture. And for me, I was very, very set. When I was in high school, I was like, I really want to go to school. I want to learn something technical. I want to have this impressive resume. And like, I was very motivated in that regard. So when I heard words like culture and soft skills and stuff, I sort of turned the lights off and didn't care and sort of sat back and said, hey, when's this presentation going to be over? But what I found out is there's something very important about that, something, and again, accounting, provably, observably important with our culture here. And I guess the best way to do that is through a couple examples of what our culture, vignettes, as I would say. One is that professors, and I just want to say this really quickly again, really do care, and they're here because they care about undergraduates. One of the things you'll learn in your beloved Philosophy 101 classes, which is true, is that you always need to consider, who you are, consider your perspective, and what's important to you and what's important to the people you're talking and speaking with. You are undergraduate students, and there are professors here that care about undergraduate students. I remember my freshman year, I had 2 classes with chairs of our majors. And then there was a day where I went, didn't set up an email appointment, it's always nice to do that, don't get in habits of just bursting in a room, hey, it's me. But I was able to do that. I was able to talk to these people that I later found out, I didn't realize it as a freshman, really did a lot to help run the school, run these programs, and I didn't need an appointment, I didn't need any of that stuff. I knew these people, I knew them, and they knew me on a first-name basis. And as I spoke to other people, I realized, wow, that's actually a pretty unique thing we have. But not all professors, all professors care, all professors like that interaction, but other professors really excel in other things as well. When I was a senior, actually, I did something called a Chartered Financial Analyst CFA competition. And that was a lot of work with 2 of our best professors in our finance department putting together a presentation. It was actually with said chucklehead Mike Rochelle up there, the investment banking guy. And we spent more nights than I want to admit, putting together this presentation, working with professors. The one professor, his area of study was highly intensive computer science-driven finance. Like, he was writing papers and leaving his computer on overnight because, it needed to run for hours to computate the things he was dealing with. This is a guy that didn't need to do an undergraduate competition, but he did because he wanted to. And that was also something I realized, a little bit later, that's very unique. But it's not, faculty is obviously very important, but at the same time, the student aspect is very important too. I'm again, accounting major. Here you can have many different paths, but the accounting path tends to be very, if you want, there's an accounting path that's very predefined. You go into it, you take these classes, you talk to these professors, talk to these recruiters, and I did the internship and got the job offer and took the CPA exam over the summer. But that's a very stressful process. So I remember when I was a freshman and sophomore, I was talking to seniors who were, again, going through, quite frankly, much stressful times than I was, but still took the time to reach out, talk to me, answer my questions about this process, which was very amazing. I found out later, and I found out, it's because they care. Like, they would end up going to different firms than I would end up going to. But, I guess it just astounds me how willing people were to talk to anyone in the business school, really anyone at the university, help them out. And then, what was really crazy, and this is just, again, a little vignette, I, just a couple weeks ago, came back here. I've been graduated, I've been working for a bit now, but I came back because one of the students I tutored, reached out and said, hey, I'm starting to study for the CPA. I know you took it over the summer. What are your recommendations? And then, so I said, of course, and then I met the person in the library, and as I was meeting this person in the library, there were two other recently graduated accounting majors that happened to show up, talking to other people about the exact same thing. And that was we didn't plan it. I know accountants are a little weird, and we didn't plan it like that. So it was still crazy to see that, it's like these aren't just one-off little things. These are observable, repeated traits. And this last thing, I've actually, I've spoken one or two times at different, events like this. This is the first time I'm going to mention it because this is something I really realized after I graduated. We mentioned this Jesuit education and everything like that. One of my best friends in college, she was an extremely motivated person. She forged her own path. She did internship after internship, networking, all of that. Was very driven in finding a very good career. I just remember one night, we were just walking around, John Carroll kids love to hang out, and we were just walking around, it was snowing, as Clevelanders like to do from time to time, and again, we saw this person, and they must have, going to their car, I don't know if it was a night class person, a professor, or what have you, but this professor obviously recently was in an accident, had crutches, and snow covered this person's car. This friend of mine, who at the time was juggling 3 or 4 phone interviews a day because she literally wanted to get the best after graduate experience she possibly could, said, stop, let's wipe the snow off this guy's car. And again, that was sort of weird to me at the time because I'm like, oh, I've only heard you ever talk about trying to get a good job in business and this kind of stuff. I didn't know you had this aspect to you. And, I know that sounds mean, but no, she cleaned off this person's car. The guy was very touched, and he said, started to pull out his wallet or something, and she said no, and she, again, floored me. She pointed to, a religious statue we have and said, listen, if you truly understand the Jesuit aspect of this school, you helped me just as much as I helped you, because we're all in this together. And again, to go from this extremely technical business aspect to a very philosophical, caring, empathetic person, it was one of those things that floored me. And again, these are one of these things that I observed, this Jesuit education, this really wonderful professors, these students that care about each other. These are all things that are part of our culture. I've observed, I used to think didn't matter, but any business will tell you, we talk to other businesses, we benchmark ourselves. That's what businesses do, and that's what students do when they're in a culture like this. They benchmark against each other, and that actually has a very important, very real effect on you. And it's something that I've seen do wonders here. And I sort of consider this all a family. So anyone here that ends up joining, I'm happy for you to be part of this family. And I wish you well in your next 4 years. And again, the same thing, if anyone sees me walking around, email, whatever, I'm happy to help, as all these people are. And just thank you for your time today.
We love it when Rob speaks. We invite him back time after time. So I know it's really warm in here and we're almost out of time. It's about 5 to noon. So thank you very, very much for coming today.